What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Okay, so we're going to do a series of reactions. So we're going to react to some of this different stuff that's going on in the news, as well as grocery prices and affordability and all that. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel.
Well, better late than never is a good way to put it, Lisa, because the news is pretty good on a 2-month basis. Remember, we didn't get October CPI, and we're not going to get much out of that. 2.7% for the year-over-year move in CPI. That is down from 3% in September, the last release we got. The core CPI on a year-over-year basis falls from 3% to 2.6%. So good news on inflation. Meanwhile, good news on the job front, with initial jobless claims falling to 224,000 from 237,000 revised the week prior. On a continuing basis, claims are at 1,897,000. That's up from 1,830,000. And finally, we've got the Philadelphia Fed numbers coming out now. The business outlook falls to negative 10.2 from negative 1.7. The prices paid index falls, though, to 43.6 from 56.1. Employment at 12.9 versus 6.0. So pretty much all of these numbers are better in terms of their trend.
Michael McKee, you've had a couple of seconds to look through this. Does anything stand out to you that really does seem to move the needle one way or another?
Well, one thing that is important to note about this is that October and November, there's no October data, so we don't have the month-to-month changes in most of the categories here.
And that's very important when we're talking about inflation. They don't have the data for October. And November, they started collecting the data November 14th. And it says it when you read the information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And so what we're getting here from let's say the first 2 weeks of November, they just had to estimate that. And there are a lot of categories that they couldn't cover, like shelter, housing. They couldn't cover that because, or it was an estimate, because they didn't have the numbers. So those numbers, if those numbers are high, which we know that rent didn't go down and housing costs didn't go down. So if those numbers are higher, that's going to move that 2.7% up to over 3%. So we're looking at this information that's coming in. We have to understand that this information it's sketchy at best. And so we need to wait until next year. We need to wait until January. In January, we'll get the information for December, and we'll have a better picture of what inflation really looks like. But right now, it's really not right for us to look at this and say, oh, this is great news, because the data has been skewed.
I want to call out anybody whose voting decision was strictly swayed off of the promise that grocery prices were going to decrease. Now, look, I live in San Diego, so obviously things are expected to be a little bit more expensive than your average American city. I just want to show you what I just bought and how much it was. So here's my grocery bag. Besides the toilet paper, there's like 7 items in there. And now before I show you the price, let's do a little walk down the grocery aisle and see what kind of things we're looking at here. $17. And look at this, $19.99, $18.99. These items, $58.54. That's my discount. So yeah, for the low price of $60, you can get orange juice, some frozen fruit, some oatmeal, soap, a jar of honey, and a protein bar. $60 used to feed a whole family in my lifetime. And keep in mind, I just got enough for breakfast tomorrow. What are we doing?
Yeah, and this is just another example of someone going to the grocery store, spending $60 and getting, what do you say, 7 items and some toilet paper. I mean, that's ridiculous. And he doesn't, and that's not even for a meal, really. I mean, he has something for breakfast for the next day, but that's it. That's how crazy it is right now. And you think, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just eat out. I'll eat breakfast out, or I'll eat lunch out. It costs just as much. Now, when you're going to some of these fast food restaurants, it's like $15 just for you. So you do that 3 days, I mean, you're what, $45? And so it's really getting out of hand. And now you're seeing fast food restaurants, they're starting to see, wow, we've charged too much for too long, and they're now revolting. They're not even coming and buying things from us. And a lot of it has to do with grocery prices as well, because if grocery prices are really expensive, then you're thinking, you know what? Grocery prices are really expensive. I go to fast food, it's really expensive, but it's still cheaper in most situations if I do go to the grocery store and make my own food at home. And so that's what they're choosing to do. They're not eating out as much. And so now these fast food chains are looking at the fact that they're charging $15, $20 just for one person for a meal. And I tell this story all the time. I went and got a burrito, and this is a popular food chain. I went and got a burrito, a drink, and a little bag of chips that came with the burrito. And it was like $18, $18 just for me. And that's just one meal. And so now people are saying, look, we've had enough. No more fast food. We'll go to the grocery store. We'll try to find the best deals that we can. But even in this gentleman's case, he's still spending $60 and he's not getting much.
He sat down with the Wall Street Journal on Friday in the Oval Office, and he said, I'm not sure if my tax cuts, if the investment commitments, if the tariffs, if they're going to kick in before the midterms. What do you say?
I'm pretty optimistic that the American people are going to see some big gains in 2026. They're going to have more money in their pocket. You know, a family of four that makes $50,000-$60,000 a year is going to have a couple $1,000s more in their pocket than they did a year ago because of the big beautiful bill. But where is that money coming from? That's what I want. He's not explaining that. He could say, okay, well, no tax on tips or no tax on overtime. How is that going to impact? Is that going to be an extra $2,000? And that's not, that not everyone is going to qualify for that. So by him just saying you're going to have an extra $2,000 in your pocket, show us, prove that to us. And then for the people who don't qualify for things like that, I'm just using those two as an example. What are they going to do? Because the price of things are going to continue to go up. We're still going to see inflation. And so if we still see inflation, people are going to be hurting. Even those people that have an extra $2,000, that extra $2,000 is just going to go to buying more groceries. I also think that they see the president pushing on energy dominance. They see investment coming into Pennsylvania. So I'm optimistic that those things are starting to turn the tide. I think of the economy as a big sailboat. We got some wind at our back. The wind is deregulation. The wind is energy dominance. The wind is the big, beautiful bill. The wind is all this investment coming into Pennsylvania and across the country. We just got to keep the focus on those things.
I like that analogy. Thank you, Senator.
So I'm going to say this again. Republicans have a big problem because we're not going to see the changes like he's talking about. We're not going to see that before the 2026 midterm election. And so you're going to see Republicans losing a lot of seats as a result of this, because some of these Republicans are sticking to the policy. They're sticking to Trump's policies. And guess what? Trump's policies aren't working. They're not working. And the promise was that we were going to see inflation come down fast. It wasn't going to take 11 months, 12 months. We weren't going to have to wait that long. We were going to see grocery prices coming down. But we haven't seen that. We're seeing the opposite. Things are more expensive. Inflation is starting to rise. We're seeing unemployment starting to rise. We're seeing our economy slowing down. And so these are not the things that were promised. And so already you have people that are very upset. You have voters that are very upset with what's going on, and they're not satisfied. And I don't think that's going to change. Let's say in 6 months, 7 months, I don't think that's going to change. And if we do see a change, it's not going to be drastic enough for people to say, yes, this was the right decision. Right now, you have a lot of people looking at this and saying this was the wrong decision. Even farmers, you have farmers struggling right now. Even though they'll get a bailout, and that bailout I think is supposed to happen in February, they still are struggling, and they still will be struggling because China is not buying soybeans like they were buying them before. And so China can say, yeah, we'll buy some of your soybeans. But before, last year, they were buying a lot more soybeans. And so this is a situation where tariffs got us into these trade wars. And now we have these countries saying, we're not going to play ball, or we're going to play hardball. And the U.S., people in the U.S., we're suffering as a result of that. You're seeing factories closing. This whole tariffs talk was supposed to bring back manufacturing, but you're seeing factories closing. Why are we seeing that? How is that happening? And so we'll just have to follow along and see where this all goes. But trying to convince the American people that things are going to get better in 2026 before the midterm election, I don't think so. I really don't. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.